Hello, everyone, and thanks for joining us here on the Rochester Press Box. Bill Pucko hosting along with Tariq Spence. How's your week gone, man?
So far, so good. Not too bad. How about you guys?
We're good. Hey, the Quebec Nordique jersey and Pat Duffy.
Yep,
Classic.
Nothing better than a Nordique jersey. And one of the biggest crimes in sports history is they move, a season, 2 seasons before Stanley Cup arrives in Colorado with all of the players they were able to acquire through true trades. Oh, God, it breaks my heart for Quebec.
So hockey uniforms notwithstanding, you guys are talking about the Dallas Stars uniform. Pat, I'll ask you first. You're wearing a classic. This is like the anti-classic, isn't it?
Yeah, this is the dumbest uniform I've ever seen. It's what a hockey player walking out of Chernobyl would look like. Tariq, you know what it looks like? It looks like, remember the Legos we had when we were like little kids? All of a sudden they became neon and they had green helmets. Like, who the heck decided this was going to be something that was going to be the future of the NHL? Because it's nothing like we've ever seen before, and it's stupid, really stupid.
I will also make a reference to the racetracks that used to glow in the dark when we were kids and go up the wall. It's similar to that. But let me ask you this about jerseys. I thought it was a decent idea. It's a marketing idea. They just want to sell jerseys in Dallas, and I get it. I understand it, and people will run to it. But will it work? I actually think that if this actually works, you might see more of these neon NHL jerseys in the near future. And could one be coming to Buffalo soon?
Dallas has a really bad history with awful jerseys. Do yourself a favor and Google the Mooterus when you get chance. All right, Google Mooterus and see what I mean. Dallas is terrible at this stuff.
I'm afraid to do it. I'm afraid to Google it. I'm
going to give the point on that one to the Chernobyl reference. Nice job, Pat. Hey, Tariq, we've got the NFL talking about expanding playoffs under the guise, I think, of a COVID experiment to 16 teams. What do you think?
I don't like it. I don't like any part of it because I understand you want to get more teams into the playoffs. Listen, Major League Baseball was doing this. A lot of other sports teams want to do this. They were experimenting with COVID. I get all that. But the problem here is that you eventually have a possible 8 team taking on a 1 team. So if an 8 team gets an exposure and then exposes a 1 team, that'll affect the playoffs going forward. I don't want that. I want a week off. I like to buy. The players have gone through a 16-game season. Give them their week off, maybe an extra week. Move the Super Bowl back. It's just a smarter move now because you have no idea what's going to happen with COVID.
There's a huge difference between what the NFL would be doing here and what Major League Baseball, the NHL, and the NBA did. Sure, you had teams in that didn't deserve it, but those teams that had earned, higher seeds had 3 games to decide who was better, right? In the NFL, anything can happen in any game. Look what happened with the Titans and the Bengals over the weekend. I mean, what kind of playoffs would you have if one of the 8 seeds beats one of the 1 seeds and everything that team had worked for all season long is gone because the NFL didn't have their crap together, even though they saw this coming a mile away, 10 months ago?
I don't know what you're going to do when you get to the end of the season. I don't see them canceling any games. I do see them moving games to try to get everybody in percentage-wise, like you mentioned a couple of weeks ago, Duffy, to make sure that everybody knows where they are when it comes to the NFL draft. A lot of teams are tanking anyway, so it's almost as if, for example, if you're the Jets, do you really want to play the last 3 weeks of your season? Or do you, with the chance of getting COVID? I don't think you're giving your fans any hope. I think you want the number 1 pick overall, and you don't want to get anybody else who could be going to the playoffs a chance to win.
Pat, do you think this is a side door effort to expand the playoffs, or is the COVID out legitimate here?
I mean, we've seen other leagues experiment with things that were talked about for years under the guise of COVID, so I guess it's not out of the question. I think the NFL would be hurting themselves, though, by adding another team. Like the NFL, I think above all other leagues, had the perfect amount of teams that were in the playoffs. And this is as a Bills fan that didn't see the playoffs for 2 decades, for goodness sake. Like, I would leave it the way that it is. I think even the 7 teams with the single bye is going to be a little bit rough to deal with, but 8's just too many, man.
Very good. Hey, we got Buffalo Bills to talk about, a big game coming with the Seattle Seahawks, and we'll deal with that next.
Original Bay Goodman Pizza, located on the corner of North Winton at Browncroft. There are 3 ways to get the original Bay & Goodman delivery. Go to baygoodman.com.
Hey, thanks for joining us. This is the Rochester Press Box. Bill Pucko, Tariq Spence, and Pat Duffy. Pat, changing of the guard. The Bills beat the Patriots. It's a long time coming. It wasn't that impressive, though, was it?
Oh, no, I would have much rather beat the Patriots that way than to have blown them out by 30 points. And let me tell you why. For years and years and years, there was this idea that the Patriots came into Buffalo and just blew them out all the time. That's not true. The thing that hurt the most about the Patriots is it was always a play or two every game, and it was a fluke play why Buffalo wasn't able to beat New England. I love the fact that Cam Newton was 11 yards away from the win. I love the fact that all the people up in New England had their tweets out, their phones out, ready to tweet and tell us so much. And then what happened? Some fluke play that we were bitten by for years and years and years happens, and the Bills win that game. It felt so good, and a win is a win. I don't care how you get it.
What is he leaving out, Bill? He is leaving out the anxiety of the way the Patriots marched down the field before this possession and them doing it again and doing it in front of you and all the feelings until a defensive play from a player that was coming in for other defensive players made not only the knock away, the fumble, but the scoop up as well. The Buffalo Bills deserved that win. This was, as you said off air, Duffy, how many more are you owed after this one?
Probably like 15. That's just with New England. That's just with New England games.
Yeah, I understand that. But this time around, it wasn't Tom Brady. It was, and I feel bad for Cam Newton. I don't know what's going on with him. He doesn't seem right. He doesn't seem healthy but it's still the Patriots. You can still win the division, but you got a little bit lucky, and that's okay. It's okay. You got a little bit lucky. You ran the football like I said you were supposed to. You didn't put everything on Allen. Your defense stepped up and did an amazing job, but you got lucky, and enjoy it. And be happy about it.
So Pat, Seattle comes up next. I don't know. We could talk about the Patriots, I know, for the full allotment here. Seattle comes in. I think the Bills have got to go back to the way they were playing early in the season because it could take, 35 points or more to win this thing.
I mean, that's the understatement of the year. But I have a theory, and I have a theory as to why the Bills would be playing well this weekend as opposed to the last four. It's not about who you play. It's when you play them. In the last 4 weeks, the Bills have faced desperate teams. You had the Titans coming off that COVID situation with something to prove because we screwed up and everyone cheered against us. You had the Chiefs coming off a home loss against a division opponent. You had the Jets with Sam Darnold coming back and all the pressure on that team. Are they going to win a game? And you had the Patriots that were coming off 3 straight losses. I mean, you see, again, look at what happened in Cincinnati versus the Titans. Anything can happen on any given Sunday, and a desperate team is a dangerous team. Seahawks aren't desperate. It's an AFC game that they don't need to have. They're traveling from the West Coast. They've been playing really well lately. I think you are going to see the best Bills performance since the first 4 weeks on Sunday against Seattle.
It would be nice to see. I mean, I haven't seen them perform that well except last week. But no, it would be nice to see a quality win against a team like Seattle. I don't think it's going to happen. I think Russell Wilson is going to get the ball late and do what he always does, win games. You're not facing Cam Newton like you did last week. You're facing a potential MVP winner if he continues the way he's been playing. Although, what happened to Allen for MVP?
You were mean.
Haven't heard that in a while.
That's what happened. No, you were mean. Tariq was a jerk, and then he ruined everything for everybody. Thanks a lot, Tariq. Appreciate that.
All right. I'm just a realist.
All right. So, look, I think I'm buying into Pat's theory on this game. I like the Bills 38-35 in this game. I think they rise to the occasion. Tariq, what say you?
38's a lot of points against
You're going to need them.
Defense.
You'll have to put it.
Whew, boy, your offense hasn't been playing that well the last couple of weeks. They're still trying to find it in Buffalo. I say Seattle at least by 7.
All the way back, John Brown. Stephon Diggs should be good to go. The running game is there, and Seattle has one of the worst defenses in the league, especially through the air. I'm going to go 35-33 Bills win. And
the line is 3. It's interesting. I was surprised when I saw it that it was that small, but we seem to be on board with it. This is the Rochester Press Box. Like it or not, is next. Here's the Press Box trivia question brought to you by Market View Liquor, where exceptional customer service meets an extensive selection. Jefferson Road at 390.
All of these things show Josh Allen has a strive for greatness inside of him.
Falcon Around with Carl Falk. New episodes every Tuesday on Rock Sports Now.
Here's the Press Box Trivia answer, brought to you by Market View Liquor, where exceptional customer service meets an extensive selection. Jefferson Road at 390.
Are you facing criminal charges from a DWI and feel that you never imagined it could happen to you? Contact attorneys with years of experience as prosecutors and defenders. Contact Ganguly Brothers Law today for a free consultation. You can put your trust in us.
Welcome back. Thank you for joining us, everybody. This portion of the Rochester Press Box, like it or not, is brought to you by Ganguly Brothers Law Firm, attorneys with years of experience dealing with the accused. Don't go unprepared. Contact Ganguly Brothers Law today. Like it or not, Tariq, I was actually looking forward to this. It'll give you a chance to talk up your New York Mets under new ownership now.
I love it, Stevie Cohen. Exciting new money. I'm going to cover, which we'll get to in Unfinished Business, the people trying to stop this from happening and why. But I just like the fact that you've got a team now that an owner loves the team, wants to bring old Mets back, wants to bring in some new fresh money, some new fresh talent into the team. And you know what? To answer some of the issues, it's not like, the Wilpons didn't spend any money. They gave a lot to DeGrom, who's a Cy Young Award-winning pitcher. But the problem here is that they need to go to the next tier. They're a middle-of-the-ground team, and the fact that they didn't make the playoffs this year really bothers me. It bothers the Stars. So with Cohen's money and their enthusiasm going forward, I'm highly interested in the Mets season now more than I have maybe in the last 3 or 4 years.
No, totally, Tariq. I'm sorry. It's not like there's an example of this, going terribly. A fan of the team who has $1 bajillion coming in and wanting to do it his way. Daniel Snyder, Washington, Terry Pagula, Buffalo Sabres. Everything should be completely fine for you and your Mets.
What about George Steinbrenner? I mean, there's successful sides to this. The Buffalo Bills. There's successful sides of owners coming in that love the team, want to own the team, and do well.
Well, look, they got some clout now, it seems to me, too. I mean, I see more speculation about who the Mets might acquire in this offseason than any other team in baseball right now. So, for instance, is Trevor Bauer picking between the Yankees and the Mets? Can the Mets stick with the Yankees at this point?
Trevor Bauer is a really outspoken player. I think he fits more of the Mets than he does the Yankees. Although I will say this, the Yankees have a lot of problems. I think they're looking for pitching. They need about 2 to 3 more aces. But they've got a lot of payroll over there with those bats that are not producing in the playoffs. So they got a lot of issues over there.
Hey, Pat, like it or not, and not really but what do you make of the situation now with the Wisconsin football team having to cancel a second game?
I mean, I find it interesting now. I mean, as we sit here and record this show, the question is, are they going to cancel the Wisconsin football season completely? Look, the Big Ten was on the front line of we're going to shut this down because there's no way we'll be able to pull it out and we're worried about the kids' health. And, of course, it's a Big Ten team that goes through something like this. It makes the Big Ten look terrible because you admitted a couple of months ago you couldn't do this safely. Then all of a sudden you reverse course when money shows up on the table, and then it's proven that you might not be able to do this safely, right? Look what's going on with Trevor Lawrence and Clemson. All those Clemson fans and Dabo Sweeney talking about, we'll be safe, everything will be just fine. Not so much. It's easy to have bluster. When it's time to back it up, it's when you expose yourself.
Terrible decision. The fact that Lawrence, who is really one of the most outspoken athletes to play this season, comes down with COVID-19 and now could affect the season. That's what's so interesting about this. Sometimes you just have to sit in the room and be the leader and not the most popular person in the room. We are talking a lot of money. So, listen, if they wanted their checks, they're going to get their checks because the kids are playing and it's all good. But it's going to be at a cost. And I don't know exactly how much it's going to cost later on.
I think it's kind of ironic that it was the Big Ten that took the high road with all this COVID stuff and says, we're not playing, we know what's best for the kids. And they come back, and that's the conference that's got real problems. Because Wisconsin doesn't play 6 games. They said, you're not eligible for the league championship, and you're certainly not going to any kind of playoff.
Nah, it's sad, but they made a decision and they reversed it. Now they have to go back, and so you have to deal with it going forward. This is so unpredictable. It's affecting every part of sports, even whether or not you should play.
Drake, like it or not, the Masters in November. This is something different.
It's going to be an interesting Sunday. I'll tell you that right now. The NFL owns Sunday, and of course the Masters is usually played on a Sunday, gets big ratings. I don't know how this is going to work. Now, you don't have any other sports to deal with, but everybody knows it's a religious Sunday, Duffy. You cannot watch anything else except football, and it's bet on more than it's ever been before. I don't know. DeChambeau's the guy that everybody seems to think is going to win this, but you got a lot of other golfers in this. We'll see. We'll see what the ratings will do.
And we'll see if Nike's able to sell some thermal turtlenecks while you're playing golf in Georgia in November. All right. I'm excited to see how this one works out.
We are the Rochester Press Box. Like it or not, brought to you by Ganguly Brothers. Unfinished Business is next.
The Press Box Stat of the Week is being brought to you by McArdle's Restaurant in Fairport. McArdle's is open 7 days a week with dining available indoors and out, takeout and delivery. Come home to McArdle's.
And now to Eichel. He floated one.
Welcome back. Thanks for joining us on the Rochester Press Box. It's time for Unfinished Business. Pat Duffy.
We were laughing a couple of months ago about how billsy it would be that we have a talented, unbelievable, good team and no one would be able to sit and watch them in the stands because of COVID, coronavirus. And hey, here we are. We're doing okay. We're enjoying what the team's doing. It somehow gets worse for Western New York sports fans because the Buffalo Sabres have their most talented roster maybe of the last 15 years. You got a top 5 center, you got a top 10 wing, you got veteran presence down the middle, what you needed for years. And then the NHL comes out this week and you hear that there are owners that are trying not to play the season because they're a ticket-driven league and won't have tickets. And then even if they do, they may not start till February and only play 48 games. Here's the worst part, man. Taylor Hall and Eric Stahl, the two guys you brought in, one to solidify the second-line center and the other wing that's supposed to play crazy with Jack Eichel, they're only here for 1 year. What happens if they cancel the season? Are they gone off the roster forever? You gave up a piece for Eric Stahl. It could be the season that Sabres fans have waited for almost 2 decades, and it never happens because in Western New York, we just can't have anything nice.
So I have no problem with Stevie Cohen buying the Mets as a Mets fan. I guess Bill de Blasio, as the mayor of New York, really did have a problem with it. So much so that he actually called Rob Manfred and said, I don't think you should sell that team to the Mets. Now, listen, I don't know what Stevie Cohen did to, upset. I'm trying to use the better word and edit myself. Major League Baseball or Bill de Blasio. I know de Blasio is a Red Sox fan, but this is going above and beyond. Now, my biggest issue, it would be Major League Baseball signed off on this. The Wilpons signed off on this after saying they weren't going to do it. Now that he's saying they are going to do it. And so I guess if there are some red flags, what are they? You have to actually publicly air them because there's a lot of Mets fans with anxiety. And I know a lot of teams that are like basically, hey, listen, this guy wants to own the team. He has a lot of money. We could be the number one team in New York over the next 10 years if we make this deal go through. So I guess my question would be for de Blasio, what was the problem with Stevie Cohen? You're going to have to tell Mets fans and the city what the issue was. And if there was no issue and it was personal, then you should have never mixed sports and politics. You should know better than that.
I like that you're on a first-name basis with Stevie. I'm impressed.
Every Mets fan is with that money.
Hey, it's all good for the Buffalo Bills these days, right? They're sitting 6-2. They're a game and a half ahead of Miami in the division, and they're a whopping 3.5 ahead of the New England Patriots. It is all good, but there's still something missing. Half the wins the Buffalo Bills have had this year so far have been against the Jets and the Patriots. Those are two very compromised teams right now. We're going to wind up in the bottom 5 of the league. Half of their remaining games are against teams that are going to be in playoff contention beginning this week with the Seattle Seahawks. Seattle's only a 3-point favorite, so somebody there still likes Buffalo, but it's going to take 35 points or more to win that game. It's the kind of game Buffalo hasn't played in a while. The window of opportunity is definitely open for this team, but the window of opportunity is very fickle too, and it changes fast. It can close fast. The New York Jets are horrible this year, but they have so many draft picks that it's not inconceivable that they could rebuild very quickly. Miami's in roughly the same spot. Draft picks, they can rebuild quickly, and they already have a winning record. They're closing the gap on the Buffalo Bills already, and they're closing it fast. If Buffalo was really serious about making something out of this year, they need something big. They need a win over Seattle. They need a signature win, which is the one thing they don't have yet. That is Unfinished Business. Gentlemen, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Bill, for basically giving me my point that the Bills do not have a signature win. So it would be nice either this week or against the Cardinals. I think they can beat them.
I don't want to hang out with you guys anymore. I'm done. I quit. I'd walk off, but I'm very comfortable in my chair here in my basement. So
Thanks, guys, and thank
you
you all
next
for
week.
joining us. We will see you next week on the Rochester Press Box.